Part 30. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Ju Yi. Chapter 291. Yu Wanchen's face wrinkled and she said, "Stop talking, I almost didn't get out of the house." Ouyou Yangzi already knew the reason why Yu Wanchen couldn't go out, but Wei Yuxian didn't know yet. He looked at her curiously and asked, "Why won't Lu Changxiao let you out?" Yu Wanchen nodded, pointed to the half-length swimsuit on her body, and said, "It's not this swimsuit. After I put it on, he said he wouldn't let me go out." The swimsuit she was wearing was similar to the one Wei Yuxian wore at the beginning, both of which exposed her white thighs and arms. No wonder Lu Changxiao didn't want to let her go out. Fu Xuanyi was like this just now. After saying that, Yu Wanchen asked again, "Yuxian, where did you buy this outfit? It's actually a full body piece. I also bought 2 sets to wear." Ouyou Yangzi was also a little moved. The half-length swimsuit is cool, and looks good, but the sun is strong here, and she will get a few degrees darker after being exposed to it for a long time. It's good to keep some white and tender skin, so that they can get whiter back faster in the future. Wei Yuxian tugged on her sun-protective clothing that was blown askew by the wind, and said, "Fu Xuanyi gave it to me. I don't know when he prepared it. There should be some for sale on the island. Let's go take a look at it tonight." Yu Wanchen and Ouyou Yangzi were happy and said, "Okay, this way my big white legs won't get tanned." The 3 of them happily walked into the sea. The cool water instantly eliminated most of the heat and made people feel comfortable. The waves hit her body one after another. The impact is not big, but it is fun. Wei Yuxian likes this feeling. Especially now that the weather is so hot, soaking in the cool sea water is the greatest enjoyment. Wei Yuxian was not very good at swimming and did not dare to go to deep places. She stopped walking when the water reached her waist. "You guys can go play in front. I'll be fine here. I can't swim." She looked deeper, where people were playing with the waves, a smile on her face. "You can also have a lot of fun here. After the waves wash over your body, they bring wave after wave of coolness." Yu Wanchen and Ouyou Yangzi both knew how to swim. They held her hands, one on the left and the other on the right, and said, "It's okay, Yuxian, where are you? This is where the children stay. Let's go to the front. There are more details over there fun." Ouyou Yangzi also said, "Yes, don't be afraid. Tian Tian and I can swim. There are lifeguards there, so nothing will happen." Wei Yuxian hesitated in her heart for a while, then followed them to the front. "Look at me, I don't want to drown." Yu Wanchen gritted her teeth, "Don't worry, nothing will happen to you." Several people walked deeper. The farther they went, the more powerful the impact of the waves became. In their ears, there was lively laughter. Many people were playing in the sea, both men and women, in groups, and it was very lively. As they walked, the sea water reached up to their necks, and their whole bodies were soaked in the sea, which was extremely cool. Ouyou Yangzi said comfortably, "It's so cold. Are you here? I'll go further ahead." Lin Chenyuan, who had been following them not far away, said. "Be safe," the 3 of them said together. Lin Chenyuan said okay and went deeper. He was tall and was not afraid of going deeper. Wei Yuxian was actually a little scared, because the sea water had reached her neck, and if a wave came over, she would be submerged. Seeing a wave sweeping in not far away, her heart skipped a beat. "What should we do? The wave is coming." She held the hands of Yu Wanchen and Ouyou Yangzi, and she couldn't help but strengthen them a little harder. Yu Wanchen and Ouyou Yangzi were not afraid. The former said, "Let's hold hands. When the waves come over, we will jump together." Ouyou Yangzi, "Yes, yes, look at the girls over there, they are like this too." With the 2 of them by her side, Wei Yuxian felt much more at ease. She said and stared at the waves. After a while, the waves came over, and with the sound of 3, 2, 1, the three of them jumped up with all their strength, avoiding being drowned by the waves, and even being carried back a little by the waves. It's obviously just a simple action, and it doesn't look like much fun on the beach, but only those who have experienced it personally know how fun it is. Wei Yuxian fell in love with this feeling immediately, and took the initiative to lead Yu Wanchen and Ou Yangzi forward to where they were just now, waiting for the next wave to arrive. "It's so fun," Wei Yuxian exclaimed. "Yu Wanchen, this is the first time I have seen such a big and beautiful sea." Ou Yangzi nodded crazily, "Me too. The color of the sea is so transparent, like glass." "Yu Wanchen, this is all thanks to you, Yuxian. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have seen such a beautiful sea. This is the island of the Fu family, and it only accepts a limited number of guests each year. You must not only have money, but also have status to make a reservation. Don't talk about this when we come out to play. Let's play in peace," Wei Yuxian said. "The waves are coming again, be prepared." The three of them had a lot of fun in the sea. After surfing the waves for a while, they walked back a little and started chasing each other in the sea. They saw people playing with water guns, so they also went to the beach to buy some props and continued playing in the sea. Fu Xuanyi was sitting on a beach chair, with a pair of sunglasses on his face that he didn't know when. He looked at Wei Yuxian playing in the sea, and the corners of his mouth slightly raised unconsciously. The sweet laughter reached his ears. In the sea at this moment, Wei Yuxian was holding a big toy water gun filled with sea water, chasing Yu Wanchen and shooting. When Ou Yangzi saw this, she quickly filled her water gun with water and followed Wei Yuxian to chase Yu Wanchen. Yu Wanchen was besieged by the two men, begging for mercy. "I'm sorry, I'm wrong, I shouldn't have stolen your gun just now. Ou Yangzi, it's too late, let's see if you still dare." Wei Yuxian laughed ha 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 and chased after her. After a while, the water in their water guns was empty, and it was Yu Wanchen's turn to fight back. "Hey hey hey! It's finally my turn. See if I don't beat you until you cry for father and mother." Wei Yuxian hurriedly ran back, dodging the water guns and the crowd. She had been very careful to avoid people, but she didn't expect that some ignorant people would still bump into her. A man wearing only tight underwear and dyed yellow hair grabbed Wei Yuxian's hand and glanced at Wei Yuxian's body with disgusting eyes. She smiled and said, "Beauty, please add me on WeChat." When Wei Yuxian saw the man, she felt a physical revulsion and felt like vomiting. Mainly because the way this man looked at her was so disgusting. She wanted to pull her hand back, but the man was too strong and she couldn't pull it back. She could only say, "Let me go." After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Zhu Yi. Chapter 292. Not only did the man not let go of her, he also pulled her harder into his arms, held her in his arms, buried his head in her neck and took a deep breath. "Yuxian," Yu Wanchen and Ou Yangzi shouted at the same time, striding towards Wei Yuxian. Wei Yuxian was also extremely anxious and shouted towards Fu Xuanyi, "Actuan." Seeing how hard she was struggling, the man's smile became brighter and he said, "Stop struggling, little girl. Instead of following the old man, it's better to follow me. Brother, I am young and live a good life, 11,000 times better than the old man. Guaranteed, make you feel ecstasy." The man thought that Wei Yuxian was kept here by some old man. After all, the people who could come here were either rich or noble. This little girl is so good looking, and I don't know which old man is so lucky to take care of her. Wei Yuxian felt nauseated listening to his yellow accent, struggled hard and said, "Let me go quickly. My husband is Fu Xuanyi." Over there, as soon as Fu Xuanyi saw Wei Yuxian being entangled, he strode over with murderous intent hidden in his eyes under his sunglasses. Especially since this little bastard who didn't know the heights of heaven and earth even took his little girl into his arms. Lu Changxiao quickly followed Fu Xuanyi's footsteps and silently lit a cigarette for the idiot. Wei Yuxian struggled for a while and couldn't get away. Yu Wanchen and Ou Yangzi reached her side first. The three of them tackled a big man together, scratching the man until his skin bled. Not only Yu Wanchen, Ou Yangzi, Fu Xuanyi, and Lu Changxiao came over, but also the staff on the beach. Several staff members looked ugly when they saw something happen to Mrs. Fu at their place. Who the hell is this idiot and why does he want to make their job harder? Who is bad to mess with? You must mess with their boss lady. The man covered the scratched area in pain, glared at them fiercely, and sneered, "Is your husband Fu Xuanyi? I even said I was Fu Xuanyi. I tell you, don't toast and you will be punished with wine." Wei Yuxian and the other three had no time to listen to what he was saying, so they ran over to Fu Xuanyi without any delay. The man also chased after him, cursing as he chased, "Why are you running away, you idiot? Don't let me catch you." He stretched out his hand to grab Wei Yuxian's hand. Just when he was about to succeed, Wei Yuxian grabbed Fu Xuanyi's hand and was suddenly pulled into his arms. The man scolded fiercely. He looked at Fu Xuanyi without recognizing the person and said without fear, "Hey, everything comes first, first come first. I saw this girl first." His words completely angered Fu Xuanyi. After touching Wei Yuxian in his arms, he asked someone to go behind him and come to the man. He raised his foot and kicked the man in the lower body. The man screamed, bent down to cover the place where he was kicked, gasping for air, enduring the unbearable pain. Do you know who I am? I'll tell you if you're dead." Even though the man was kicked, he still said harsh words. Lu Changxiao stepped forward to hold him up. "Master Xian will definitely be fine, but you idiot, you will die today." He held the man firmly, kicked his legs a few times, and said, "You are still so arrogant in front of Master Xian. Who is your father? Tell me and let me hear how awesome you are." As soon as the man heard Master Xian's name, he broke out in cold sweat. He raised his head to look at the man in front of him. He had a cold face and his eyes were hidden under his sunglasses. He didn't know what he was thinking at the moment. He is, Master Xian?" the man asked intermittently. Lu Changxiao said, "Tisk, is it possible that you are? You dare to provoke our wife, you have committed a capital crime." When Fu Xuanyi thought about this man hugging Wei Yuxian, he narrowed his eyes and kicked him in the same place, completely crippled. The man let out a painful scream again, his face turning red. Wei Yuxian stepped forward to hold Fu Xuanyi and whispered, "That's okay, Xian." Fu Xuanyi said yeah, turned around and hugged her into his arms. Regardless of so many people present, he kissed her forehead. It was salty because it was soaked in sea water. Wei Yuxian hugged him back and comforted the man's temper. "Okay, I'm fine. He just hugged me and I didn't let him succeed." Fu Xuanyi tightened his hold on her, his voice became hoarse, and he shouted, "Be good." Wei Yuxian patted his back and said, I'm here. It's really okay. Leave this person to the staff. Let's go sailing on the yacht, shall we? I want to play when I see others playing." Okay. Fu Xuanyi was comforted by her and kissed her again, this time on the lips. Lu Changxiao handed the person over to the staff and said, "Take care of it properly and deal with it thoroughly. Madam's grievance cannot be in vain." Staff, don't worry, Mr. Second, I promise that after the matter is dealt with, this person and his family will not be able to set foot on the island again. When the onlookers saw that the matter was resolved, they gradually dispersed, but they were still discussing in a low voice. "So this is Master Xian, and Madam. They are so good looking. I wish I could be so good looking. If she is not good looking, she will not be a wife. But that man really has no discernment, and he will offend his wife as soon as he messes with her. Master Xian is so powerful. He kicked the place twice and it hurt even a woman like me. Wei Yuxian and Fu Xuanyi went on a sea motorcycle ride. They rode one together. Yu Wanchen and Lu Changxiao also rode one, and Oyu Yangzi rode one by herself, which was very cool. It was Wei Yuxian's first time riding a motorcycle at sea. It felt completely different from the feeling on land. The man is very good at driving. He avoids crowds and rides freely on the sea in a Mercedes-Benz. Lin Chenyuan, who was deep in the sea, had just arrived and the matter had been settled. Seeing them riding motorcycles, he also went to fix one himself. Two young couples showed off their affection on the sea. Lin Chenyuan and Oyu Yangzi expressed their indifference. They looked at each other and Lin Chenyuan suggested, "How about we go to compete over there? I really don't want to eat dog food." Oyu Yangzi agreed without thinking. She and Lin Chenyuan drove the sea motorcycle to the other side where there were few people, and they excitedly competed to see who could drive faster. Here, Wei Yuxian leaned in Fu Xuanyi's arms and said loudly, "It's too fast, Ah Xian, please slow down." When Fu Xuanyi heard this, he slowed down, but after he slowed down, it became less exciting. Wei Yuxian hugged the person behind him and said, "Drive faster." Fu Xuanyi naturally fulfilled her wish. He turned the throttle to the bottom and drove on the sea at the fastest speed. Wei Yuxian screamed loudly, venting her happiness wantonly. Fortunately, it was very lively here, so she didn't seem out of place when she shouted like this, so she became even more unrestrained. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Ju Yi. Chapter 293. Riding a sea motorcycle to explore the entire sea area, Wei Yuxian felt a little overwhelmed, but she was really happy when she was happy. She didn't ask Fu Xuanyi to stop until she was hungry. The clothes on her body were half dry and half wet. "Actuan, how about we go back and change clothes first, take a shower by the way, and then come over here to have a barbecue?" Before Fu Xuanyi said anything, Yu Wanchen raised his hands in agreement. "I agree. It's too uncomfortable to be wet. Go back and change clothes first." Fu Xuanyi said and took her hand and walked forward. Wei Yuxian followed him, turned around and said with a smile, "Then we'll see you soon." Yu Wanchen and Oyu Yangzi gave her an okay sign, and the former said, "You must hurry up, I'm almost hungry." Oyu Yangzi touched her stomach, "I'm hungry too." Everyone went back to their sea huts, took a shower and changed clothes. Wei Yuxian took out a set of comfortable home clothes and entered the bathroom. Just as she was about to take off her clothes, Fu Xuanyi came in from outside, holding the clothes she would change into later. Wei Yuxian paused in taking off her clothes and asked a little shyly, "Wash together?" Fu Xuanyi said put down his clothes, and began to take off his clothes. Wei Yuxian was a little shy, but she didn't stop her and took off her clothes with her back to him. After coming out of the bathroom, it was already more than half an hour later. Wei Yuxian was carried out by Fu Xuanyi. She was soft and had no strength. Her face was red, and her lips were a little redder than before, slightly swollen. Just now, she was leaning against the cold wall, and Fu Xuanyi knelt on one knee in front of her and kissed her. The kiss made her legs weak. The kiss made her tremble all over. The kiss made her short of breath and dying. She quietly glanced at Fu Xuanyi's thin lips, blushed again and her heart beat, lowered her head and buried herself in his arms like an ostrich. Fu Xuanyi put her on the bed and used a hairdryer to dry her hair. Looking at her red face, a faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. After blow-drying her hair, Wei Yuxian's shyness was almost gone, and she said, "Next time, you better not do this. It's so shameful." Wei Yuxian covered her face. Fu Xuanyi had a smile in his eyes, as if he was remembering the nectar and jade liquid he had just tasted, and said, "Don't you like it very much?" Wei Yuxian couldn't say she didn't like it, because she did like it a little bit, and said, "Anyway, don't do this next time." "No," Fu Xuanyi said, refusing lightly. Wei Yuxian took a step back and said, "Then don't use so much force." "Okay," he agreed. Wei Yuxian breathed a sigh of relief, got up, put on a pair of beach shoes, and went out for a barbecue. After such a long time, Tian Tian and the others should have waited a long time. The two went to the barbecue place. Yu Wanchen and the others sat there early, grilled a batch of food and ate it. Wei Yuxian's first sentence was, "Sorry for being late and keeping everyone waiting." Yu Wanchen glanced at the new half-red mark on her neck and said tolerantly, "It's okay, it's okay. Come sit down and eat. We baked a lot. This location is exclusive to them. There are other locations farther away that are packed with seats. They also have 2 staff members helping to guide them in the barbecue." Wei Yuxian and Fu Xuanyi sat down, and the former said, "Then I won't be polite." They were at the beach, enjoying the sea breeze, eating barbecue and chatting. Over there, tourists were playing beach volleyball, having barbecue, eating hot pot, singing and dancing, and it was very lively. Wei Yuxian enjoys such a carefree life. In the next few days, Wei Yuxian and Yu Wanchen played at the beach and went shopping, living happily every day. At night, I have to be intimate with men from time to time. Finally, the time came to the last day, and they were leaving the island today to continue their honeymoon in country E. Last night, Wei Yuxian didn't know what kind of chicken blood Fu Xuanyi had been given. It was so fun that her physical strength seemed to be inexhaustible. So this morning, Wei Yuxian was still sleeping at 10 o'clock, with no sign of waking up. While she was sleeping, she didn't know that several uninvited guests quietly came to the island. Shishi and Zhizi were brought here by Mother Fu and Grandma Wei. The 2 children were worried about not seeing their mother for so many days. At first, the family could coax them not to cry, but as time went on, they couldn't coax them anymore. The 2 children insisted on seeing their mother no matter what, and cried when they didn't see their mother. The family felt sorry for the 2 babies and couldn't bear to see them cry, so they could only bring the 2 children to the island. When Fu Xuanyi got up and opened the door, he saw 2 elders holding a child in each hand, with expressions of helplessness on their faces. When the 2 children saw their father, they shouted "Dad" happily. Then she jumped on his lap and hugged him. Mother Fu smiled bitterly and said, "They insist on seeing Mom. We have no choice but to bring them here." Grandma Wei also looked helpless and said, "They are so capable of crying." Fu Xuanyi didn't look very good. He lowered his head to look at the 2 little guys on his legs, knowing that his honeymoon trip with Guai was coming to an end. Shishi and Zhizi just hugged their father's thigh and rubbed against each other for a while, then ran in to find their mother. What they like more is their mother. Inside, Mother was still sleeping in bed. The 2 little guys had grown up and knew not to wake Mother up when she was sleeping, so they climbed into bed calmly and looked at Mother quietly. Fu Xuanyi was chatting with 2 elders outside. When Wei Yuxian woke up, she saw her 2 little babies at first sight. She thought she had seen them wrong or was dreaming. He stretched out his hand, took the 2 babies into his arms, and said, "How come Shishi and Zhizi are in Mom's dream? I haven't seen you for so many days. Mom misses you so much." Shishi and Zhizi said quickly, Mom, I am real, I am real." Only then did Wei Yuxian wake up completely. She opened her eyes and saw that it was really her 2 babies and they were not dreaming. "Why are you here?" she asked in surprise. "I miss my mother all the time." "Zhizi, I miss my mother so much." Wei Yuxian smiled happily and said, "Mom misses you too. Come on, let me give you a kiss." She kissed each of the 2 children several times on the face, and the two children were not to be outdone and kissed their mother several times. In this way, Wei Yuxian and Fu Xuanyi's honeymoon trip was forced to end early. They could not go to country E, so they returned home. When she got home and felt the atmosphere of home, Wei Yuxian thought to herself that it didn't seem to matter much whether she went on the honeymoon or not. Home is her final destination and her safe haven. Having family by your side is enough. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Zhu Yi. Chapter 294. Wei Yuxian graduated from college. In her senior year, she interned at Fu's group for a year. After graduation, she officially became an employee of Fu's group. Once she got in, she didn't do anything special. She just took on the position according to her abilities. If I have to talk about the advantages, that is, she is the president's wife, no one in the company dares to disrespect her, and all the unfair things that happen to interns can be avoided. After working at Fu Group, Wei Yuxian spent more time with Fu Xuanyi, especially during the lunch break. Fu Xuanyi would always call people to his office. Today is a good day. Wei Yuxian and Fu Xuanyi don't have to go to work. They have to attend the wedding of Lu Changxiao and Yu Wanchen. Lu Changxiao finally waited until Yu Wanchen graduated from college and couldn't wait to propose to her. Yu Wanchen naturally agreed, so soon, Lu Changxiao started planning the wedding, and today, the wedding day has finally arrived. Wei Yuxian is wearing a white dress, which is relatively simple and elegant. It looks very suitable for her without being too pushy. Fu Xuanyi usually wore a suit, and the two little guys also went there, including Fu's father and Fu's mother. This wedding was truly a sight to behold. Lu Changxiao smiled all day long and personally welcomed every guest. Yu Wanchen is also very happy today. In addition to being happy, she is also a little nervous, because tonight is their wedding night. While she was in school and even during her internship, even though she was sometimes distracted by Lu Changxiao's teasing, she never gave in. She wanted to save that important night until today, until their wedding night. The process of the wedding is pretty much the same. After the oaths, rings are exchanged, and then they go to the hotel for a toast and a banquet. After working hard all day, after the couple sent all the guests away, Lu Changxiao couldn't wait to get them into the car to enjoy their wedding night. Here, Wei Yuxian returned home and after taking a shower, she was also pinned down on the bed by Fu Xuanyi. After several years of marriage, the man's movements were still so impatient, he was squeezing her neck and kissing her. Wei Yuxian has gradually adapted to intimacy with men. At least she is no longer so shy, and sometimes she even takes the initiative to say she wants it. His neck felt itchy, Wei Yuxian hugged his head and said, "Wait a minute, Ah Xian, don't kiss so hard," hiss. The force of this move left a mark without looking at Wei Yuxian. What kind of clothes should she wear tomorrow to cover up this mark? Before I had time to think about it, there was another slight sting on my neck, and a mark was also left on the other side of my neck. Wei Yuxian was afraid that he would chew up all the marks on her neck, so she pushed his head away and said, "Don't worry, I haven't told the children a story yet." Before Shishi and Zizi go to bed, they have to listen to their mother telling them a story so that they can sleep peacefully. Fu Xuanyi stopped and raised his head to look at her. His voice was extremely hoarse and he said, "Let mom speak." Wei Yuxian shook his head, "No, the effect is different. Do you want to be interrupted by them later? The two children have become very clever when they grow up. They will knock on the door and ask their mother to tell stories." Fu Xuanyi frowned deeply, struggled for a while, and finally left Wei Yuxian, lay aside, grabbed her hand and touched somewhere. Said, "Hurry up, dear." Wei Yuxian said okay, packed her clothes, and went to the two children's rooms. Shishi and Zizi had just taken a fragrant bath and were lying on the bed talking to each other. When they saw their mother coming, They sat up happily and ran over to hug Wei Yuxian. Wei Yuxian quickened her pace and said, "Don't come down, Mom is coming over." Shishi and Zizi stayed on the bed obediently, waiting for their mother to come over. As soon as Wei Yuxian sat down, Shishi and Zizi hugged their mother's arms, sat on her lap, and called out in soft and cute voices, "Mom." Both children are very cute and lively, and they have not inherited Fu Xuanyi's cold personality, which Wei Yuxian still likes. "Mom, Mom, tell me a story." The two children acted like a spoiled child with their mother without any burden. They have been very good at acting like a spoiled child since they were young, knowing that their mother could not refuse their acting like a spoiled child. Wei Yuxian smiled and said, "Why don't she and Zizi get some sleep soon?" Hearing this, the two little guys took the time to kiss their mother's face several times, then lay down on the bed obediently and looked at their mother with their big eyes open. They were as beautiful as delicate dolls. The more Wei Yuxian looked at them, the more she liked her children. Cover them with a quilt, select a storybook from the bedside table, and start telling it to them softly. At first, the two children looked at their mother with admiration. After half of the story was told, they smiled and fell asleep. Wei Yuxian put down the storybook, gently tidied the quilt for them, turned off the light, and walked out of the room softly. Back in the master bedroom, the man on the bed was still lying on the bed. As soon as she walked to the bedside, he pressed him down on the bed like a hungry wolf and stripped her clothes off without ceremony. Then, he took out a tea from the bedside table and prepared to tear it open. Wei Yuxian grabbed his hand and stopped his movements. She gasped and said, "Mom said it's time to give Shishi Jiji a younger brother and sister." Fu Xuanyi looked at her belly and asked hoarsely, "Do you want to be good?" Wei Yuxian blushed and nodded, and softly mouthed the word think. Fu Xuanyi couldn't bear it any longer and threw the obstructive thing aside. He no longer wanted to use that thing. All night long, the lights did not go out and the sound did not stop. Wei Yuxian is not in a hurry about having a second child. She and Fu Xuanyi are still young and have a long life ahead of them. The two elders wanted to rush, but they couldn't. After all, the genes of the Fu family's heirs were there. With Shishi and Jiji, they were already extremely lucky. Therefore, even if the second child does not come, the two parents will have no regrets. If it comes, that would be great. From now on, their Fu family will be very lively. Wei Yuxian also felt that their luck would no longer be so good, and they would have to wait a year or two before they could get pregnant again. I didn't expect that her pregnancy energy was so good. 2 months later, the family doctor who came to her home for regular checkups told her that she was 1 month pregnant. As soon as the news came out, the entire Fu family and Jones family became excited. Wei Yuxian looked down at her unchanged belly and couldn't believe how pregnant they were. At the same time, she was also a little worried that pregnancy would affect her work. However, this baby is very well behaved, and her pregnancy reaction is far less severe than the first baby. She vomited slightly a few times, but otherwise her appetite is very good. Once again, she became the Fu family's treasure. Even Shishi and Zizi were cautious when dealing with their mother, and did not dare to pounce on her recklessly. When she was a few months old, Wei Yuxian went for a prenatal checkup and learned the great news that she was carrying twins again. The two elders were so happy that they burned several sticks of incense in front of the ancestors' memorial tablet and brought the whole family along with them. Fu's mother took Wei Yuxian's hand and said, "Eucalyptus is really a blessing to our Fu family. Since you came, our Fu family is getting better and better day by day. Mom, it's me and Axian who are lucky." Fu Xuanyi was also very happy, but when he thought about not being able to have sex for the first 3 months, he felt a little depressed, but that depression was eventually coaxed away by Wei Yuxian. Wei Yuxian had many ways to calm his lust. The next summer, Wei Yuxian gave birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. This time, the sister came out first, and the brother came out a few minutes later. This time, Wei Yuxian did not give birth naturally, but had a cesarean section. She only found out after she became pregnant that most of the twins were delivered by cesarean section. 1 month after giving birth, Wei Yuxian was discharged from the hospital and her body had recovered a lot. In fact, she could be discharged from the hospital 3 days after giving birth, but Fu Xuanyi and her family were worried and forced her to stay in the hospital for so long. On the first night back home, the two of them took a shower. Wei Yuxian was lying on the bed playing with her mobile phone. Fu Xuanyi gently turned her body over, lifted up her pajamas, and looked at the mark on her stomach. Wei Yuxian put down her phone and took a look at the scar. The newly added flesh was bulging and unsightly. She remained silent and tried to pull off her clothes, saying, "Don't look at Xian, it doesn't look good." Fu Xuanyi directly told her his thoughts through actions. He lowered his head, kissed the scar gently, closed his eyes, full of love. Wei Yuxian thought that he would dislike her scar, and she had been worried for a while. Now that she saw the man's actions, she felt completely at ease. He put his hand on the man's hair, rubbed it a few times, and said, "I thought you wouldn't like it." Fu Xuanyi kissed her several times before standing up to kiss her lips, his movements as gentle as before, and said, "My darling, you have worked hard. As long as you are darling, I like it." Wei Yuxian curled her lips and kissed him proactively, saying, "The doctor said it can be removed, as long as you take good care of it." "Well, don't worry about it." Fu Xuanyi rubbed her nose and said, "The only thing I love is you." I know. She had already experienced firsthand how strong Fu Xuanyi's love was for her. And she also loved him deeply, and she would never be able to do without him in the days to come. Fu Xuanyi, we will live a good life, I am sure. End of full text. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding.